Well, hey children, Pastor Daniel here. Been off for a couple weeks, but we're going to jump right back into the Pilgrim's Progress, chapter 7. So, here we go. It's not too long of a chapter today. There was also in the same place two other ways, besides that which came straight from the gate. One turned to the left hand, and the other to the right, at the bottom of the hill. But the narrow way lay right up to the hill, and the name of the going up the side of the hill is called Difficulty. Christian now went to the spring and drank thereof to refresh himself, and then he began to go up this hill, saying, This hill, though high, I covet to ascend. The difficulty will not me offend, for I perceive the way to life is here. Come, pluck my heart, let's neither faint nor fear. Better, though difficult, the right way to go, than wrong, though easy, where the end is woe. The other two also came to the foot of the hill, but when they saw that the hill was steep and high, and that there were two other ways to go, and supposing that these two ways might meet again with that up which Christian went on the other side of the hill, therefore they were resolved to go in those ways. Now the name of one of those ways was Danger, and the name of the other Destruction. So the one took the way which is called Danger, which led him to a great wood, and the other took directly up the way of Destruction, which led him into a wide field full of dark mountains, where he stumbled and fell and rose no more. I looked then after Christian to see him go up the hill, where I perceived he fell from running to going, and from going to chambering upon his hands and his knees, because of the steepness of the place. Now about the midway to the top of the hill was a pleasant arbor, made by the Lord of the hill for the refreshment of weary travelers. Thither therefore Christian got, where also he sat down to rest him. And then he pulled his roll out of his bosom, and read therein to his comfort. He also now began afresh to take a review of the coat of garment that was given to him as he stood by the cross. Thus pleasing himself a while, he at last fell into sleep, which detained him in that place until it was almost night. And in his sleep roll fell out of his hand. Now as he was sleeping, there came unto him one who awakened him, saying, Go to the inn, sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise. And with that, Christian suddenly started up, and sped on his way, and went apace till he came to the top of the hill. Now when he got up to the top of the hill, there came two men running to meet him amain. The name of the one was Timoras, and the other one was Mistrust, to whom Christian said, Sirs, what is the matter? You run the wrong way. And Timoras answered, that they were going to the city of Zion, and had got up that difficult place. But, said he, the farther we go, the more danger we meet with. Therefore we turn, and we are going back again. Yes, said Mistrust, for just before us lies a couple of lions in the way. Whether sleeping or waking we know not, and we could not but think if we came within reach that they could presently pull us in pieces. Then Christian said, You make me afraid, but where shall I fly to be safe? If I go back to my own country, that is prepared for fire and brimstone, and I shall certainly perish there. But if I can get to the celestial city, I am sure to be in safety there. I must venture. To go back is nothing but death, and to go forward is fear of death, and life everlasting beyond it. I will yet go forward. So Mistrust and Timoras ran down the hill, and Christian went on his way. But thinking again of what he had heard from the men, he felt in his bosom for his roll, that he might read therein and be comforted. But he felt for it, and found it not. Then Christian was in great distress. He knew not what to do, for he wanted that which used to relieve him, and which should have been his pass into the celestial city. Therefore he began to be much perplexed, and did not know what to do. At last he thought to himself that he had slept in the arbor that is on the side of the hill, and falling down on his knees, he asked God's forgiveness for his foolish act, and then went back to look for his roll. But all the way he went back, who can sufficiently set forth the sorrow of Christian's heart? Sometimes he sighed, sometimes he wept. Oftentimes he chid himself for being so foolish as to fall asleep in that place. which was erected only for a little refreshment for his weariness. Thus, therefore, he went back, and carefully looking on this side and on that all the way he went, happily he might find his roll that had been his comfort so many times in his journey. He went thus until he came within sight of the arbor where he sat and slept. But that sight renewed his sorrow all the more by bringing again, even afresh, his evil of sleeping into his mind. Therefore he went on, bewailing his sinful sleep, saying, Oh, the wretched man that I am, that I should sleep in the daytime, that I should sleep in the midst of difficulty, that I should so indulge the flesh as to use that rest for ease to my flesh, which the Lord of the hill hath erected only for the relief of the spirits of pilgrims. How many steps have I taken in vain? Thus it happened to Israel for their sin. They were sent back again by the way of the Red Sea, and I am made to tread those steps with sorrow, which I might have trod with delight, had it not been for this sinful sleep. How far might I have been on my way by this time? I am made to tread those steps thrice over, which I needed to not have trod but once. Yea, now also I am like to be benighted, for the day is almost spent. Oh, that I had not slept. Now by this time he was come to the arbor again, where for a while he sat down and wept. But at last, as Providence would have it, looking sorrowfully down under the settle, there he spied his roll, the which he with trembling and haste caught up and put back into his bosom. But who can tell how joyful this man was when he had gotten his roll again? For this roll was the assurance of his life and the acceptance at the desired haven. Therefore he laid it up in his bosom, gave thanks to God for directing his eye to the place where it laid, and with joy and tears betook himself again to his journey. But oh, how nimbly did he go up the rest of the hill! Yet before he got up, the sun went down upon Christian, and this made him again recall the vanity of his sleeping in his remembrance. And thus he again began to condole with himself. O thou sinful sleep! How for thy sake am I like to be benighted in my journey? I must walk without the sun, darkness must cover the path of my feet, and I must hear the noise of the doleful creatures because of my sinful sleep. Now also he remembered the story that Mistrust and Timoris told of him, how they were frightened of the sight of the lions. And then Christian said to himself, These beasts range in the night for their prey, and if they should meet with me in the dark, and how should I shift them? How should I escape being by them torn in pieces? And so he went on. But while he was bewailing his unhappy miscarriage, he lifted up his eyes, and behold, there was a very stately palace before him, the name of which was Beautiful, and it stood just by the highway side. So it was not a fun chapter for Christian, but he was able to get back the scroll, the scriptures that bring him comfort. And he's going back on the way. He's not going to go the way of Mistrust and Timoris. He's going to go on the way called, that is the way. It's a difficult way. Even there's lions and other things ahead. So we'll follow Christian next week. It's a pretty long chapter next week, so we'll wait for next week to do chapter 8. But take care of yourselves. Have fun in this beautiful weather these next couple of days. And God bless.